August 21st, 2017. A total solar eclipse. And depending on where you were on that day in the United States, you got to experience all of it or some of it. The extended McCafferty family had a great shot at most of it. Art, Jenny, Heather, Paul, and Sammy were all staying at Mount Shasta Resort in Northern California. When I first found out we were going to be in Northern California at the point of the total solar eclipse, I was pretty excited. And I planned to drive our rental car up to where we would see the total eclipse in Madras, Oregon. Unfortunately, our rental car needed service. So we scheduled the service, scheduled it for the day of the eclipse, and scheduled it right in the middle of the eclipse. I was just a tad bit disappointed. However, when we got there, something amazing happened. But let's backtrack a little bit. The Weather Channel, of course, was really excited about this event, and Jim Cantore was telling people, you can't use extra sunglasses, you have to have special glasses, or failing that, if you know somebody who has a welder's mask. Well, we didn't know anybody who had a welder's mask. But we happened to be waiting for our car to be serviced at the Points Tire and Auto Service of Mount Shasta. And the owners are Randy and Paula Cardo, had welder's masks. So we had a chance to view the eclipse at 89% with that wonderful welder's mask that they lent us. To tell you the truth, the most exciting part of the eclipse for me was watching the folks who were working at the service station put on their masks and watch their excitement as they saw the solar eclipse themselves. Meanwhile, Paul's dad, Sam Sims, is a little bit farther north at 93%, and he had a chance to see the eclipse from there. We're in Montague, California. That's far northern California, here on Wind in the Woolies farm with Sam Sims, and what a delightful place you have.
Well, thank you very much. The wife gave it the name. I don't know that I would have named it that, but it's a nice place, and we've got a good batch of sheep, so it fits.
So you have, is it 4 ewes and 7 lambs right now?
5 ewes, a dozen sheep total.
Okay. And I see black ones and white ones.
They're primarily a wool sheep, and they work fine for meat, but the wife is into spinning and wool and fiber, and so that's a hobby, and through default, I guess that's become a certain amount of hobby for me.
And I've seen a few other critters. I saw a couple of chickens and a bunny rabbit.
I think there's a total of 21 between sheep and chickens and dogs and cats and a rabbit.
One lone rabbit. Well, this is an absolutely beautiful spot. Can you tell us a little bit about the landscape here?
This is probably right on the edge of high desert where it breaks off and to the east. The elevation here is 2,500 feet, and without irrigation, it's a pretty dry country.
So it's an especially dry year, but you're still growing some nice tomatoes in your garden.
Yeah, fortunately, we do have an irrigation district, and it is possible to take care of the pastures and the garden without too much problem.
So yesterday was the total solar eclipse, and we're asking people, what were you doing yesterday?
I was doing farm chores until probably it was about time to look at the eclipse, and Becky wasn't feeling well, so I was out in the park. I could tell that there was an early twilight. It wasn't as dark as I expected it to be, and fortunately one of Becky's friends came by from the library. She manages the library there, and they were having an event and had some viewing glasses, and So I managed to get a pair of viewing glasses at probably 50% stage, and that was a pretty good view, and I just sat in my pergola and took it in, and now I only have to be 99 until the next one.
What was your first thought when you saw it?
Okay, it's happening. I expected a little more darkness than occurred, but you could see a little bit of reaction in the birds. They were chirping and maybe acting a little different. I didn't see any obvious behavior in any of the other animals.
Yeah, but you were what, 89% of totality or something?
I think 90, they said 93.
93? Ooh, okay.
And yeah, it was pretty obviously an eclipse, but I imagined it as being darker.
Yeah. Well, it was a very interesting day to be here nearby where things were starting to happen, and we've really enjoyed having the tour of Wind in the Woolies farm. Thank you.
You're certainly welcome.
And we look forward to 2045 when the next total solar eclipse will be right here over Wind in the Woolies farm.
Well, I'm glad you could come, and I've enjoyed very much meeting you.
Paul and Heather and Sammy borrowed glasses and were able to see it from the Mount Shasta Resort themselves. One of the things that impressed us was that this was the site of the biggest sawmill in the country back in the 1940s, so it's pretty cool. And you're from actually nearby McLeod, is that right?
That's right. Yeah. We're a lumber town as well, and had a heck of a lumber mill in our time, but it's a thing of the past now. So this is kind of the last of the old time remnants of old lumber towns that are still going strong.
When I'm in Weed, I really do feel like I've stepped back in time. But speaking of time, yesterday was the total solar eclipse, and where were you?
I was in Mount Shasta at Lake Siskiyou. We're staying at the Mount Shasta Golf Resort. It was a good place to be, you know, real close to the pinnacle, but kind of out of the crowds. And we took a walk around the lake, checked things out, ran into some nice people. They handed us over some solar glasses, which we didn't have, we weren't prepared for. So we got to enjoy it better than we planned on. And it was nice to get a piece of it, but not have to be in the middle of a crowd either. So it was fun.
What did you think when you first saw what the eclipse looked like through those glasses?
Yeah, well, until I got the glasses, I was a little underwhelmed. But when I got the glasses, I understood a little more what was going on. It was pretty impressive, you know, especially if you consider how rarely it happens and how close we were to totality.
Did you notice it getting a little bit darker?
It did get darker. Yeah, it definitely did get darker. It was a strange kind of atmosphere outside, surreal.
Well, Paul, one of the things I think is really cool is that Mount Shasta and Mount Shasta Resort will be right in the path of totality the next time an eclipse comes by. 2045? You'll be around.
Yeah, I'll be around. Hopefully I'll be there, maybe at the Mount Shasta Resort itself, but if not in the community, that's the place to be. So make your reservations now, maybe. It should be a big deal around here.
Another Sims got involved, and he was the golf pro at Mount Shasta Resort Golf Course. His name is Rod Sims. You didn't see it. He was fishing. And speaking of looking around, this is the day after the total eclipse yesterday. What were you doing?
I was fishing. I was up at Lake Britain, and I was fishing. I was in my boat, and I was in a little shaded covey back there, and I didn't even see the eclipse, but I was out there while it was going on and didn't really notice anything.
So you didn't notice it getting a little darker?
No, I didn't notice that at all. But I also made it a point not to look in the direction of the sun, because I was watching the fish just next to my boat, just swimming around, and it was a nice day, beautiful day.
It was a beautiful day. It was a great day to be out, and it was fun to see people looking up with glasses, but I'm glad you didn't look up without them.
No, I intended not to, so.
Right. So in 2045, Mount Shasta will be right in the path of total eclipse when it comes by. How about that for the future?
Well, I hope I'm around to witness it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm 71 years old. I don't know if I'll be around that long, but if I am, I'll probably be out fishing again.
Michael and Kiernan McCafferty drove up from Los Angeles, stopped by Mount Shasta to continue northward so they would experience the total eclipse. They had about a 4-hour drive from Mount Shasta to get there.
Hey guys, this is Mike McCafferty here. I'm here with my son,
Hey,
whose name is...
Kieran McCafferty, Tiberius David.
And we just got back from the 2017 solar eclipse, which was absolutely fantastic. It was up in Oregon. We were up at Lebanon, Oregon. It was a wonderful, crazy experience. It was so magical. We drove 13 hours from LA to get all the way up there. Kieran, was it worth it?
It was very worth it, actually, Mike. I thought...
You can call me Dad.
I think it was very worth it. I mean, 1,100 miles, and we got to see 1 minute and 30 seconds of the moon covering the sun. I think that it was pretty worth it. Back to you, Mike.
Thank you.
Watch the shadow come.
Watch. Here we go.
Really quickly.
That's my timer.
Yep. Here it goes.
Here it goes.
Here it comes.
Here it comes, buddy.
Look at the little bright. Only a little bit left, Tom.
Almost gone.
It's almost gone. Oh, my God.
Okay, get ready to look at the sun. Get ready to look at the
Ready?
sun.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
There it is, the diamond ring!
Look at that, buddy. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. And the best part about it is that we started and we left here at the Mount Shasta Resort. So it was a great place to start out at. And when we're done, it's great to come back here and relax. The next solar eclipse is going to be here in Mount Shasta in 2045. It's going to come right through here. So you got to get your reservations early. I know it's 28 years from now, but if you don't get it now, you're going to regret it. So check it out, 2045 solar eclipse. And before then, stop by here and check it out. I'm Mike McCafferty.
And this is Kieran McCafferty.
We'll see you in 28 years.